Hello. So, while I'm going through all of the old replays that I had before, I'm just gonna go over a bunch of stuff. So, I have pretty much like infinite ARC footage right now that I'm sitting on that's still making my PlayStation go chugga 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 because there's just so much of it. I'm gonna have to get through that soon enough. And then there's also the case of the video of, combining a fight in, fighting in-game and replay mode that I'm going to try and work on. I still need to actually record that, the replay side of it. But, yeah. Time has been a little bit scarce lately. So, let's get into what I wanted to talk about in the video. No real fights or serious gameplay, so all you PvP heads, you may as well just click off now. I'm mainly just going to be rambling and doing a little bit of testing. Because I remembered from playing Ramp the other day when I ended up dying and spawning in Green Valley, that there were these two conks that were inside of the map, or inside of this wall right here. And what my goal is for this video is to actually spread this little spot so that more people know about it and more people know what's happening, and also more people can then report it because more people will know how it works and it'll be more valid in Alderon's eyes. And then these sweaty exploiters will they'll have to find something new to do. They'll have to actually run to the cave like everybody else. I'm sorry, I may sound like, salty or something like that. I just hate exploiting and cheating. I seriously do. Also, a little bit closer to the end of the video, I'll be showing you a little something extra that I found. So, the first deal is to actually find the spot, and yeah, there's a little crack in the rock that you can just sit your concavenator into. And then, once you're in the rock, then, you can use your precise movement to turn one of two ways. And eventually, the game will collide you inside of the rock, hence putting you inside of the terrain. Pretty much just meshing. Think of Ark Survival Evolved, when you could just mesh through the map. That was a little bit silly. But now you're in here, how the hell do you get out? Well, what you do is you go into one of the corners and you just run at it, and you twist your body and you try and jump, yeah, and you'll just pop out eventually like that. I did try this another 2 times and yeah, it was very consistent to do, very easy. Crouching does make it a lot easier just because your collision box is, the height of it is lower than the top of the stone that you'll be colliding under. Therefore, the game won't try and push you back up onto the terrain. And of course, you just find that corner again and you'll wiggle, jump, duck, dodge, dip, duck, dive, and dodge out of it. But of course, I had to try out something other than just Concavenator, so why not Kentro? The only problem for Kentro in this case is it cannot jump into that spot, itself, so what it has to do is pretty much just drop from above or from the ledge next to it, and then it can just fall into that little hole. And at first you might try it and it might, wiggle you back out like that, but, just position yourself in a different way and hope that you can find a spot where you settle and you're actually standing. And then all you have to do is crouch, and then you're in. You just wiggle a little bit, you crouch, and then you're in. And then to get back out, it's the same case with Concavenator. Find that corner, and you just run out of it. You don't even have to jump. You just run out. I then tried for a Kilobator, because, you see a lot of Akilobators these days, so why not? And what I noticed is that a Kilobator's model is too tall and too wide to actually do this, along with not being long enough, if that makes sense. And what that means is that it would just get actually stuck there on the spot itself instead of falling through. I tried about 6 or 7 times to actually do this, and this exact thing right here happened every single time. I just got stuck inside of the outer rock, or should I say the inner rock in this case? I don't know. And yeah, you can't do it with a killer beta, or if you can, it is extremely inconsistent. And then, of course, I had to try my favorite carnivore to play outside of Rhamphorhynchus, Cerato. But yeah, let's just say Cerato can do it just as well as Concavenator. If anything, actually, it was a little bit easier. But then again, that might have just been because I was testing so many things, I was getting practice in how to do it correctly pretty consistently. Same case as, you know, before. Next. Now for a dino that I'm actually excited for in the next patch, just because it's getting a buff. Pachy. Now, Pachy is similar shape to Concavenator, Cerato, you know, but it is quite a bit smaller. So getting in is the easy part. Getting out, you can't use the same spot as the Cerato or the Concavenator, just because your model is way too small. But there are other spots for you to use to get out of the rock. It seems that any spot that actually just pinches you is able to get you out. Along with a bit of twisting, turning, you know. I had to try it again though, just to make sure. So yeah, just remember that Pachy, it can't get out that way, but it can get out on the corner part right here, if you just, yeah, spin around while trying to run out. Now, time for Camto. Pretty much works the same as Pachy. You know, say you go in at the same spot that the Cerato and Concavenator can, because you can also just jump in there as well instead of having to drop in. But the thing is, you can't get out the same way as the Concavenator and the you know, the Cerato, but you can get out of the same spot as the Pachy, with a little bit of twisting and turning. Yeah. Now, I thought this would be actually a little bit interesting. Let's see what won't work, or, you know, see like the limit of it, and I think this is it. It's, Pycno. Let's just say Pycno cannot do it, and anything bigger, you know, taller or wider than Pycno also cannot do it. Just because, hey, it can't get into the spot where you actually fall through, so what can I say? It just can't do it. The limit to it are pretty much, I would say the highest or biggest thing that could do it would be maybe an Alio. Maybe. I think a Meg could do it, probably. I didn't go too extensive into it, but it seems that the requirements are to be pretty much shorter than the rock whenever you're actually able to fit in there, and you're supposed to actually be able to fit in there. And lastly, your, you know, collision needs to be long. Mainly just so that the collision of your body can collide with the terrain and then actually push you into another piece of terrain. If that makes sense. But to be able to actually go into the actual rock, you have to be shorter than the height of the rock, if that makes sense. Otherwise, if you are taller than it, then the actual collision will push you back up into the terrain, you know, on top of the terrain instead of into it. I don't know if I explained that very well, but yeah. And now, lastly, I had to make sure that there was no actual hole down here for anything to actually fit into and just fall through. So this is a hatchling Rhamphorhynchus, or the smallest thing in the game that you can get, other than maybe a hatchling compy. And this right here is pretty much telling me that this is an issue with how Collision interacts with the map and other dinosaurs, as I'm sure you've all experienced in the past. So yeah, that's all I can really say about that. Now, onto the little something extra I promised at the beginning of the video. So while I was setting up, I ended up remembering a mod, or not a mod, a command, a special little one, and the command is /getAllAttr, and this pretty much gives you everything. Everything. You get to see your trot speed, you get to see your health recover, your stamina recovery, the multipliers on a bunch of stuff like your healing rate, your bleed healing rate, venom healing rate. But then, there are a couple of extra ones that we haven't really seen before, and are not really implemented into the game, but, as you can see right here, they are kind of preloaded. And anybody wondering what the cursor is, I do have a mouse plugged into my PS5, I am not on PC. So, let's go over a couple of them. Let's start right here. Toxin Health Death Threshold. We're gonna have Toxin, apparently. So maybe if you have low enough health, and then you have a high enough Toxin rate on you, you just die, maybe? And then there's the heal rate for the Toxin, the amount of Toxin on you, how much the Toxin is doing. And then there's also things like Paralysis. Now that is scary. Paralysis. We already have Bone Break. What the hell is Paralysis gonna do? And what the hell is it gonna come from? But then we have some interesting ones like Mud. So we've all seen the mud piles, and yeah, maybe it'll help with healing a bit faster. Maybe there'll be an environmental effect to help. Maybe it'll help with healing from bleed or venom faster, because, you know, there are animals out there, and, you know, certain types of mud are supposed to, promote healing or something like that. I don't know. I'm not that smart about it, but yeah. We got Toxin, we got Paralysis, and then also Mud, you know, actual as status effects. Who knows, maybe even Mud could be like, I don't know, a blinding mud, blinding, kind of thing. Maybe I'll finally get the dream of having my Camto be able to throw stuff at apexes, so that I can just pelt a Rex with tiger nuts or something. So yeah, I've pretty much gone over everything I wanted to in the video. I'm going to be making, you know, a report for the exploit, for people, you know, glitching under the terrain. I'm sure they use it to log. You know, I just kind of, I do not like any bug, exploit, glitch, hack in any game that I enjoy, or in any game after all, especially for a PvP game, because, you know, there are people out there who will happily abuse any and every advantage that they can, and it just makes the game less fun, and then less people want to play it, because they, you know, getting abused. But, of course, then, we can also talk about the status effects, the Paralysis, the Toxin, which is different from Venom and Poison. Then there's also the Mud. Let me know what you think about it, how you think they'll work, how you think they'll be applied, used, I don't know, how they'll be added. How do you think it'll go? Yeah, I kind of fumbled in saying that. But either way, anybody who's been watching, I hope you all enjoyed, and I hope you all have a lovely day. Bye.